Welcome back. Pamela, before the commercial break, you were alluding to the changes in leadership roles and especially for women. We have a board. So let's bring this up. This is a snapshot of women's representation in various leadership roles. You talked about the 11% drop really in the pipeline, which is really important, right? Can you just walk us through what's happening here?
Sure. What's happening here is we're looking at the 4 levels of leadership in an organization, starting at the top at the boardroom table. So here you'll see data for the boardroom table, and that is also, you're looking at 2 years. So you're looking at last year and this year with respect to women's representation at the board table. And you'll see that there's a slight increase year over year in women's representation at that top level, which was good. We were glad to see that. And a nice bump up in women's representation at the next level. Those are the C-suite jobs, women who are CEOs, chief financial officers, chief human resources officers. And we saw an increase of 3.1% year over year, solid. But where we're really concerned is in the 2 levels beneath. So here you'll see that there was a drop of 2.8% year over year in women in senior management. Senior management roles are reporting up to those C-suite roles, right?
Yeah.
And in order for representation at the board level and for representation at the executive officer level, we need that pipeline nice and strong. And we saw a dip in senior management, but we even saw a greater dip, as we mentioned, that 11.9 percentage point dip. That's alarming. That is an exodus of women from those crucial roles leading into senior management. And that does not bode well for the future. If we don't have women in the pipeline, we're not going to have women moving into those super senior positions.
So this is really interesting, Pamela, because when you said that a lot of women came back to the workforce, where are they going? Because they're not going into those positions then.
They're not. What we fear we're seeing is a number of women who are saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have a senior level position. I want to have a better balance between my responsibilities at home. And it was a very tough 3 years for me, she's saying. And so I want to step back.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring up another board too, Pamela, because this is the overall representation leadership roles, but through intersectionalities, right? So racialized women or those in the LGBTQ community, Indigenous as well. Can you just walk us through the findings here?
Sure. Okay. So what you're looking at here, Saijal, is racialized women, the very top. And we're seeing a nice increase in the percentage of racialized women across those 4 levels. So we're talking board level, executive officers, and those 2 crucial pipeline levels. So we saw a really strong increase in the representation of racialized women, 3.6% year over year. And that's broken down. We've broken it down according to women of color and women who identify as Black. And so we saw a nice increase with respect to women of color from 6.2 to 9.4%, and women who identify as Black from 0.5 to 0.9%. I'm going to pause there because Canadians who identify as racialized make up 26% of Canada's population. There's a lot to be done. We're at 10.3%, so a lot to be done. You'll also see Indigenous women here. So flat, only at 0.3%. 5% of Canadians identify as Indigenous. Lots of work to do. Women with disabilities, same. You know, we saw a slight increase, and the same with 2S LGBTQIA+. Slight increase, but really underrepresented in leadership.
Do you think that the pandemic maybe helped because we were having those kind of conversations around the inequality with racialized women? Do you think that's what led to this, or is it work being done before that?
That's a great question. I think it's a combination of the work that's been done up to 2020 and what we saw during the pandemic. I think that there are some silver linings. And one of the silver linings is that we've seen employers embrace a hybrid work model. And I, for one, am hoping that we will see more women moving into leadership roles as that hybrid model becomes the new model. That
Okay.
will give working women more flexibility, and working dads.